Go live.
I already hit it. Okay, there it goes.
Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Kimberly with Aisle Planner. Joining me today is Sarah, Team AP, and we are going to be talking about your layout and seating tools, tool suite included with your Aisle Planner subscription. Welcome everyone. We're going to give it just a few seconds to get everybody logged in and online. For those of you that are watching, rewatch, or going to be rewatching, please note we do store all of our webinars in the Help Center article for our live webinars. For those of you also watching live today, please use the comment section to input your questions, and we will get to those as we go through the tools. Hello, Sarah.
Yeah, hi guys. So Sarah here, president of Aisle Planner. Really excited for this webinar today. I think that our layout feature is, in my mind, as a veteran of 15 years of this industry, one of our most valuable tool suites, and probably one of the ones that is most underutilized and gives people the most questions. So we're really excited to jump in today. It's going to be a little bit different format. We're really going to go into, the tips and tricks of how to utilize it effectively, how to really get the most out of our layout platform, probably show you some things that if you are a current user, you might not have known you could do. If you are not a current user and you're looking for a new layout platform, a new layout tool suite, kind of showing you everything that you can do within our system. It's pretty robust. I've used almost every layout system out there in my 16 years of events experience. And I really think that our system, not biased at all, but I really think that our system is one of the best out there from a both accuracy perspective as well as what you can do with it. So really excited for this. As Kimberly mentioned, please, any questions as we're going through, drop them in the chat. I will be moderating that. If it's anything small, I'll just go ahead and answer you in the chat. But if it's something that we think should be shared with the entire viewing audience, then I'll go ahead and pull your question in and we will assess it. So feel free to drop them as we go, as things come to mind, as we're looking at the system. And with that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to push it to Kimberly, and I will start watching you guys in the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Well, hello, everyone. And again, please do put your questions in the chat. As we move through the platform, we received everyone's feedback for pre-filling in those questions and things that are really important to you in a layout tool. So we're going to hopefully address those as we go, but we will save space and time for everyone to ask their questions along the way. And just for those of you that are newer to the tools, it is a very comprehensive tool. You're uploading your floor plans, sending things to scale. You can create your own custom objects. We have a ton of inventory for you as well. Generate reports, manage your guest list, seating, and so much more. So let's dive in. We wanted to show you just a couple little visuals quick before we get started. Today, we aren't going to have time to build a layout from zero to beautification because we have a lot to show you and a lot of tools. We want to get you guys in there and using practice makes perfect, and muscle memory does kick in when you are using these tools. But just a few things to go over. You've got the ability to visualize table names, seat numbers, tracking meals, uploading, building floor plans from scratch, and so much more. And just a few visuals to kind of show you what the vision was in the system, and then the reality of how those things can look. And these are kind of just basic floor plans, but just to kind of give you an idea. Here's an open space, just empty warehouse. Here's the vision on paper, and then here is the reality coming to life. So we are going to jump in and jump into the platform. Everyone can see my screen. Are we good to go there? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do before we jump into a project and actually working in a project with guest lists and meals and things like that, we're going to go into templates first. So from your cogwheel in the upper right corner, click into templates. And then you're going to head down into layouts. And a couple things about the layout venue templates. Below venue templates, you're going to see object templates. So venue templates are the space that you're going to be able to pull into a project and then apply objects onto it. So the difference between what's the venue template versus the object. Objects are things you put on your floor plans. The venue template itself is more of the space, the floor plan layout itself. You can add your venue right here. And this is what you're looking at here are these folders. So if you are a venue, we do suggest building out your space and templating as much of your space as possible. You know how your rooms lay out, you know what they are seated for 100 versus standing room only versus a theater versus serpentine tables. So all of those different layouts and floor plan scenarios that you have and that you've worked with at your venue, you can pre-template those so you never have to create from scratch again. Same goes with event planners. Are you working at some of the same venues repeatedly? You can start to save those floor plans as your templates. You can also save an existing project floor plan as a template. So do you think back in time of some really amazing floor plans you've created in Aisle Planner, you can go into that project and save that floor plan as a template. It will show up here. And then that gives you an opportunity to create these folders and organize your spaces.
And so, for those who are not Aisle Planner users, for those who are fresh to the system, have never seen it before, one of the questions we get a lot, especially when someone's looking for a very layout specific program, is, do you have a library? No, we don't do that because one, because we do so much more than just layouts. It would take so much time, effort, energy. And we also don't want to limit you to the ones that we've gone out and created contracts with. So with our system, you can create your own library. Most planners work with somewhere between 7 and 10 venues in their local area pretty regularly. If you're starting with Aisle Planner, we recommend go out, send them a quick email, say, hey, can you shoot me over all of your layouts for all of your different situations? Then take that time when you're building out your system to go ahead and do what Kimberly's saying here and create that library for yourself. And you can do a lot of things with it, which Kimberly will show you in a bit, that make it even more specific to how you function and how you utilize the space. But it's really why we keep it open-ended. We don't want to lock it to, here are the venues that have paid us to be in our system, or here are the venues that have contracted with us. We want you to be able to upload anything and everything you can, including drawing venues from scratch. But I just wanted to throw that out there really quick for anyone who isn't as familiar with the Aisle Planner system. You have the ability to go in and build this yourself. And that gives you opportunity to make changes, enhancements, really set the layout up to how you work with that space versus how the venue expects you to work with that space. So just wanted to throw that out really quickly. Kick it back to you, Kimberly.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to dive in. I know the big question, a lot of feedback was, how do I get my spaces and scale it? So then I could put things on it that are size appropriate, right? And that are appropriate to the space. So we're going to do that first thing. And just to let you guys know, all of our Help Center articles that are how to upload your floor plan or uploading a floor plan after you've started a layout, those all have a quick short video on setting to scale. So if you forget today or you come back to this in a few weeks, we have those resources to walk you through the scale setting again. But I am going to go ahead and just create a brand new template. A few things to note. You've got an insert tool. We'll go through what these inserts are. You've got bring to view. And this is just if you've kind of scrolled your canvas off, bring to view just kind of snaps your image back to the middle. And then you have some other alignment tools and settings here. And so once there's an image here, we'll play around a little bit more. You've got a name. You give this a name. So if I just said blank space, now if you're a venue, you're going to know what room this is. If you are not a venue, you may have a folder, and then you're naming this, the grand ballroom or the terrace or something like that. So give it a name. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a floor plan. So I've received the floor plan from the venue. Now, sometimes you are going to have measurements on these floor plans. Sometimes you are not. You are going to need one basic measurement. A lot of folks do feel that they need the full spec of the space. You do not need that. You just need a distance from point A to point B, and you can set an entire floor plan to scale. So give me 1 second here. Let me just upload this. So in this case, I do know what the dimensions are of this space, 78 by 46, and I'm going to go ahead and use the 78 distance to set this to scale. As you can see, I've just uploaded this onto the canvas. You've got a few different tools here. Get to know these tools. Come in here, click around, play with things to see what they do. Oops, let me get that out of my way. And once I have it uploaded, and you can see it's moving around. So I can lock this, and this is helpful. So as you start applying objects onto these floor plans, lock your background so the background isn't moving around while you're moving your objects. So as you can see here, let me just zoom out just a touch. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. And once I click on it, you'll see there's a gold box around it. Once that gold box is around it, it is ready for the scale setting. You're going to click Set Image Scale. What the system wants you to do is to make a line between 2 points on the image. If you can see this gray little guidance right here. So I'm going to click and hold my mouse down right at this space, right at this side of the floor plan. And then I'm going to hold it down and drag it across to the other side. I will release, and right here, it wants the scale setting. So this is where I'm going to tell it that that is a 78-foot distance, and I'm going to set scale. And now the image might jump a little bit smaller, bigger, just depending on kind of how you uploaded it and the file size. But now this is set to scale. So any objects that I am applying to it are going to fit in this space. Now, what some folks will do from here is, and we do recommend it, especially if you're an event planner and you work at multiple venues, is always put an empty version of that space in your template so you have a clean ballroom to work with, or a clean space, garden terrace, or whatever it is, whatever space it is. You have a clean version of it. One other thing too to note is sometimes you get these floor plans from your venues and there's a lot of action going on this, and you really want to clean it up. So let's go into your insert tools while we have this here, just so you can start to see what insert does, what those items are, and then we'll go over into the objects as well. And Sarah, please interrupt me as I go and jump in if there's a question along the way. So I'm going to do insert. I'm just going to kind of go down this really quickly. Rectangle is just that. And these are your drawing tools. So this is if you have to create space from scratch, these are the tools that you're going to use if you do not have anything, any sort of image or PDF or floor plan to upload to set that. So, whoops, let me just start over here. Insert image. I'm going to click rectangle. I'm going to click my mouse and hold it down. And now I can see I'm creating this box. As you can also see, you can see the dimensions of that box. So if you were drawing something from scratch, you do not need to set it to scale because you are drawing it to scale. So keep that in mind. Some folks put some boxes here and then want to set it to scale. You've got these grids behind you. So this grid is going to give you a little bit more. Let me just delete this ballroom here. A little bit more control as well on your canvas. As you can see here, this is a rectangle, and let me just keep on going. An oval is just that. Lines are really helpful, especially if you are really drawing from scratch and you're, let's say, deciding to build a sailcloth tent. You're going to use lines to indicate where your poles are, where, things are like that. One pro tip when you are dropping your lines, come over here and make it a little bit thicker, even if it's just temporary. It helps you kind of grab that line if you need to move it around into other locations. It's a little bit tricky to re-grab.
We're going to really quick. Sorry. We
Yes.
do have a few new users, and they actually are asking, how do we even get here? How do we get started with this? So
back to the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Like, how do I even get in there to build a new floor plan? Like, let's take it from step one, and then we'll jump back into creating, building out a floor plan from scratch. But yeah, really kind of taking it back to, we've never been in the system before.
You got it. And just again, we're going to high level this and kind of cover a lot of the tools that are available. So it might not be your exact video for how to, but we do have those resources. We want to make sure we cover all of the tools and everything available to our pros. To get into your layout templates, you're going to click the cogwheel in the upper right, click into templates, and then you're going to head down into layouts. Right here is where you can add your venue folder. And then once you have a venue folder, you can use the plus symbol to then start creating new templates. You're going to do plus, and this is going to open up a brand new blank canvas ready for your floor plan, whether you're drawing that from scratch and building this right on the canvas, or you're uploading something that you already have for the space, a PDF, a CAD program, and uploading that and setting it to scale. So I'll start again. I'll go back through the insert menu. You think that's a good place to kick off again, Sarah, just to kind of show you guys, if you were to be drawing spaces, what these...
I think so. And it answered our question. And I have another one when we get a little bit further in, but Dabney, I'm going to have you hold for a second, and we will address that once we get a little bit closer to images being imported. Okay.
Yeah. And so there is a lot to do here. And this is why we say get in here and play around with the tools, because where you want to play with your coloring and highlighting, there's a lot to do here. So as you can see, I just put a rectangle and I can drag and drop this to whatever size I want. So you can see what size of a space you're actually creating. You also, while this is highlighted, you can also rotate your objects. So as you're uploading images and things like that, when you click on them, you can rotate them. So let's say you upload a sofa or an image of some objects that you're renting, you can rotate those into position. But let's just keep going here. So you can see your dimensions and your position over on the right-hand side property panels. Your right side property panels are going to do a lot of the control of the objects that you're putting on the page, what you can do with that object after you place it, what kind of formatting you can do with it. So here you will see position, and here is where you can lock it. I'm going to jump over into the style menu. This is where you're going to find your fill and your colors. So this is where you can start to apply colors into objects, floor plans, spaces, you name it. And I will show you guys here where you can also create tablescapes in this venue. This is just a blank canvas. So really anything that you're putting onto this canvas, you can utilize in a project. It doesn't have to be a layout. We see a lot of redesigns and tablescapes, which I will show you. One pro tip for those of you, a lot of folks are asking, how am I creating my tents? How am I doing pavilions, sailcloths, things like that? If you don't have a diagram or anything from that vendor, but you know the dimensions of your space, this is how you're going to be drawing it. You're going to be placing that rectangle here on the space, or if it's an oval space, I'm just going to draw right over this. You're going to start your space out with just these basic shapes. From there, you're going to be able to edit and format on these shapes. So let me get back into the coloring here, because specifically with tents, pavilions, things like that, the big thing is, one, reflecting where the posts and poles and entryways are. But another thing is you want to indicate that that is a sort of tent structure. So what we typically find people do is they're using their transparency tools. So let's say this was the tent that I'm putting up and I'm going to have tables and things underneath it. You can set the opacity in different kind of thickness and boldness of that color. So as you start putting objects, those things can be visible and display through this shaded box. Another thing to note here is your canvas. So here I am on this canvas. You can change your units. So for our folks that plan in meters, you can change the dimensions. So these boxes represent meters instead of feet. You can choose to show the grid or not show the grid. I do find this is helpful to draw spaces. You can also modify what that box spacing represents. So if you don't want the five foot spacing, you'd rather have that be 1 foot or 10 feet, you can come in here and control that. Service guide areas, this comes into play when you're placing tables. It gives you a little border. We will see that here in just a moment. And then the snap to increments. Snap to is really handy when you are dragging and dropping. So I'm going to bring a table over from my library here. Snap to is really just giving you, so this is not behaving for me right now, giving you the ability to drag it and it snaps itself into 1 inch increments, or it's a smooth drag and you can really get fine tune exactly where you want it. My mouse is not grabbing this table for the moment, so I'll show this over in a project when we get there. But just a little bit so you guys know that you have control over these menus and what actions you can take. So just remember the template, you're going to give it a name. Another thing you can do is put a description here, which can help if you have a huge library of spaces and you want to quickly find or describe this one. This is seating for 100 with a dance floor and a buffet table, or however you do your spaces. You can put a description here and even use keywords. And I'll show you guys this when we get into the tablescapes. But if you want to find everything that has your king's table or velvet chairs or certain centerpieces, if you create those keywords when you are in a project layout, you can quick search that keyword and it will find items with those items listed in the description. How are we doing on? Okay, so another thing to show you guys just really quickly are these inserts. So you've got lines, you've got ovals. So as you can see here, you can really start to kind of shape a space. One thing to note also, as I was saying earlier with your lines, you can, if you've got something here, let's say, and you don't want a line around it, and you're really trying to, create some depth and shading and a lot of elements to this, is you can come in and, excuse me, right here, is just set this to 0. So there's no line around it, or you can set it to white if you want to have no line. But you see how there's no border there, which really starts to help kind of blend spaces as you are building them. You've got arrows as well, and you can make those different thicknesses just depending on where you need that arrow and how you want that to display. You can drag and drop all of these around. And then a polygon. I don't know does anyone use polygons, but you've got a shape. So it's a shape insert menu. Let's see here. You've got stars. It's just a star shape. Serpentine is not serpentine table. It's a serpentine shape that you can apply onto the canvas and then play around with, rotate it, change. This is not a seated serpentine. We will get into seated tables a little bit later. Paths. I will show you paths in another one, but paths is your drawing tool. So for custom shapes, you've got a hedge, or you're in a backyard, or you've got a funky shaped pool that you want to create, whatever it is, paths is like a tracing and drawing tool. And I will show you that a little bit better here as we get down. Image is the big one that everyone wants to know. How do I get images into my canvas? How do I upload a floor plan into the canvas so I can start to put things on it? That is your image button. So really quick, you're going to use this a lot. Insert image. You'll be down here. This is like an upload file button right here. And that will put whatever image onto the canvas that you can then take further action with. We do have some pro tips with this, because depending on what it is image wise, you may want to remove the background on certain things just so it looks a little nicer on the canvas than something that you maybe took a screenshot of and has a big box around it. And then lastly, for inserting on your canvas, you've got a text box. So you can drag and drop that. You can see right here, I'm just going to type some words, hello, hello. And then I'm going to be able to, I'm sorry, this is getting a little messy, guys, but I want to make sure that you are understanding what these little tools do, what this insert means, and get you guys in there and just start playing around and using it. So here is text. You can modify the font size over here. So if you needed to put some words on your text, you can modify what that looks like. And you've got a few different options for your text font, where that goes, the color of it, and so on and so forth. So do keep in mind, anything that you place onto the canvas, take a look and see what actions you can take with it over in your properties menu. Because while you can do certain things to a table, you may not be able to do that same thing to a line or to an arrow. So getting to know the tools and all of these tools at your fingertips is really important to just get in there and look around. Going to kind of move on to some other ones so we can look at some other samples and deconstruct a little bit of what we are looking at. One of the tools I wanted to focus on, because folks do ask, how do we align our tables? So here is, again, just a background that I uploaded. I set to scale. So now as I apply tables and chairs to it, you are going to see that things are sized appropriately. I wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit with your alignment tools, and you really just want to get in here and play around with which alignment tools are going to be most useful to you. I find horizontal centers seem to be what people need most, but with the background locked, you can see now this is locked. So now I can drag and highlight and use shortcuts as well. So I can highlight these tables, and you can see it's just those selected, and then come up here into your alignment tools and play around with maybe different table configurations and how these alignment tools work. I'm going to use align horizontal centers, and that puts everything horizontally aligned. What I will also do, and you will see now that you can see, the service areas. So you can turn those service areas on and off. This is just kind of an industry standard. So if you're trying to see if a space is tight or if things are going to fit. But one other thing that's a pro tip is get that first row aligned the best that you can. And then from here, you can use your shortcuts to really quickly multiply these tables into your large spaces. So as these are highlighted, and my team, we can share the shortcuts in the chat. So everybody has these shortcuts, because these are a lifesaver. You will find that you just start using a lot of shortcuts as you're creating these. But I'm just going to, with this selected, Command C, Command V on a Mac, and now I see I have duplicated those tables. I'm going to use my arrow keys to move them, or shift arrow to move them a little bit bigger. But I want to get those aligned here, jump down, and now I could even Command C, Command V, and copy that again. And as you can see, you can really start to multiply those tables, build out those spaces, and everything is aligned minus those little adjustments that you make as you go. And then also just to note, I have applied color to these tables just so they stood out a little bit more for you. And over here is your color wheel. When we get into the project, so we'll also show you that the colors that you were developing in your design studio, which is another tool for those of you that don't use Aisle Planner, the design studio, you build your color palettes. You're going to see those color palettes for use in your project layout as well. So if you've got florals or dresses or centerpieces and you want to match some of these table colors, you can do that as well. So just going down a few more things to show everyone, and just how different pros are creating different spaces, different elements, different themes. Wanted to give you guys an idea for this one. We've got blank space here, a new template, tablescapes. So we're showing you guys tablescapes created as a venue. You can also use this and create tablescapes as an object. You'll see as you guys get into the canvas, you really can do a little bit of everything on either of those canvases. It's just a matter of how you're sharing it and how you need to use it. But with tablescapes, right back here, I just drew a box. I applied a little bit of color to it. And then these are images that we're just taking from the rental catalog from, our commonly used rental pieces, or if you're a venue and you have these pieces. And then these are just elements that have been added into using insert image. So these images are coming to you various ways. In most cases, for little things like this, we're often, a screenshot off of a view on a catalog. This is also where you're going to want to use that remove background. So you don't have a boxed chair that you took a screenshot of, or you have an image of. You can remove the background so it looks much nicer and places really well in the space.
Kimberly, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. You're going super fast. So go back to that, please. So I want to show you guys. Okay, so rental catalog, Tia, we're saying like go to your local rental company and pull an image from their catalog. Not that we have a rental catalog, because obviously every rental company is different as what they offer. Right. You can also do this. I want to state, so the way Kimberly has this set up right now is she had already created that tablescape. So the plate, the napkin, the forks, etc., right next to each other as one image. You can also build images right in here, so you can layer them. So you could have the images be separate. So you could have the plate, you could have the napkin, you could have the fork, knife, spoon, dessert spoon, bread and butter knife, bread and butter plate, whatever you want to put in. You could also layer it straight in here. Now, she also mentioned background remover. That is not something Aisle Planner has. That is something that you need to use as a separate tool outside of Aisle Planner. We also had a question in here about cropping an image once you've added an image into this space. So yes, you can crop, but no, you cannot like remove backgrounds. So you would need to take that image, go to like backgroundremover.com or whatever the URL is. It's free.
So Canva does background remover BG. Yeah.
And then, does, yes. Mm-hmm. So there's like, this is a really fun way to give a really visual image to your client. We know that, the holistic aspect or intent of Aisle Planner's layout tool is really for your vendor team, right? To give them the true to scale, like exactly what they need. But these images are also great because then when your team is setting up, they can see what that looks like. You can send it over to your customer as well and get them to really see like what it's going to look like in true form, right? From a color and a layout. So yeah, there's one on like on a naked table. So just wanted to bring that up really quick because you need to make sure. And then all of these things, you're going to need to set them to scale as well, right? So like if you're trying to really do it for florists, you can put an archway in here. You can put floral sprays in here. You can set them all to scale and you can show your client really what 4 floral sprays on an 8-foot arch look like, right? It might be your way of upselling to say like, hey guys, this is not going to look good, right? So you've got that option as well.
Yeah. And I would say, like, when you're displaying a tablescape, you maybe make things bigger, right? Because you just want the visual of it versus like the chair is 30 inches or whatever. So,
but if you need it to scale, you can set every single one of these items to scale to make sure it's like a true representation. Tim, did that answer your question? Kimberly was just kind of changing the shape of and size of that image right there on in the format. You can do it there, or you can do that set scale again. You've got all of the things, all of the items right there where you can type them in. But yeah, you can right there in the layout tool, change size, change scale. You can also set them to size scale when you save them as an object so that they always come in correct size and scale. All right.
Yeah. Exactly. And sorry, I'm going a little bit fast, but IL Planner is very much a clean slate, but think of that creativity and all the different things that you would want to use in the system and play around and have the ability to have all of this at your fingertips. So you are finding the images, getting the floor plan, finding that rental piece. But if it's something, especially if it's something you use a lot, if it's one and done, you're using it for one project, one time, you don't necessarily need to put this in your library because it will add to your library that you see in every project. So make that choice. If it's just a one and done, you can upload an image directly onto a project canvas just like this. So one other thing to note is what you're seeing here in the template canvas, both for objects and layouts, your project canvas works exactly the same. You just have more tools because you're connecting a guest list. You're going to be doing seating. They're going to sync up meals and all of that. So we will get into that. But how you build and how you design in the template here at the template level is the exact same in a project. So if you're looking at a project canvas and you're there in a project layout, you can do all these same things that we are doing in templates, and you can actually save to template. So if you did something, again, down the road a while back, you did a really amazing layout, you want to use it again, or at least have that as a reference, save it as a template, and we'll show you where that is.
Tim, are you referring to objects that you've created in your templates, in your template library, or are you referring to our objects that we've pre-created in the library? So can you see that question, Kimberly?
Images seem to have that setting.
This is the setting, the changing, the increasing and decreasing size of an image added from the library.
I got you. There are a few things, Tim, that are icons that are meant to represent an object, but they are not editable. And that's why, and I think what you're referring to, and I'll just point this out for a few folks so everyone is clear. We do have some objects down here, like an outlet, an umbrella, doors and things like that. When you are adding these things, they are not editable. You can rotate them, but they're just icons for the object itself. And that's why we say use that object template. Even if you take a picture of the icon, if you're like, the icon's cool, I just need to be able to make it bigger and smaller, take a screenshot of it, and then you can actually drag it. These objects are pretty fixed. So just a few things to kind of just show you guys again, just different ways. And this was just off of a rental catalog online. I took a screenshot of that chair. I dropped it in a remove background platform, and it gave me this nice little chair now that I could upload using insert, upload image, grab that chair. And now this is here for me to use moving forward. It's in my library now. I can apply it on layouts. I can make tablescapes. The sky is the limit. I wanted to show you just a few other things just when it comes to customization. This one's really heavy of just finding those images. These are all rental pieces. And this was just drawn from scratch. There's no floor plan. It's an outside space. We roughly know the area of the grass area that we're going onto. And you can really kind of go to town and get crazy with the objects that you are bringing into IL Planner of your own that aren't just the objects that we already have built into these into the platform. So hopefully that's clear with the space, and we're going to show the use of these templates here in just a minute as we're moving on. One other thing, though, I know folks have a lot of questions about these tents, sailcloths, and things like that. In this case, this one, the vendor had a rough and dirty shape of what their space looks like. We know the dimensions of it, so we were able to come in here, and these are just some rental plants just to kind of show you guys how to place objects. But this is one way. Now, a lot of those spaces, your vendors may not have the any sort of spec to give you. You're going to be drawing it from scratch. This is just to kind of give you guys an idea, but this was just an oval I drew, just kind of dragged, set to kind of transparent so I can start to build out. And then by using shortcuts, these are just insert small rectangles. You can also make shapes if you wanted to create a shape that's like a pole. It would just be a little dot. So you're maybe better off. But starting from scratch here, this is how you kind of start to begin to build and create those spaces. And Sarah, I know you've worked with a ton of sailcloths and tents like that. Anything else you want to add? And we'll show some diagrams that have this in use.
No, I think that that's exactly it. I mean, for a lot of this, I actually had a customer a couple of years ago, and she swore up and down that like she could get away with a smaller tent because she didn't want to spend the money. So it's a really easy way of kind of overlaying, creating it as a translucent object, but still having format there and showing her like, you want to get this many tables underneath of it. This is what you need to do. I know Kimberly's going to show it in a little bit, but it's also a really easy way of taking like a Google image. And I don't think we often think about that, but taking a Google image. So if you're working with a property that has like a big lawn area, but it isn't quote unquote a floor plan, right? You can literally screenshot a Google image of that, upload it as your layout, and then and then place a tent over top of it in a layered format, put the tables underneath of it, and give a really clear representation of what that space is actually going to look like when in full production.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm just going to kind of keep going here to show you guys. Another thing too is we've seen these tools up here. Sometimes they're grayed out. You've got your undo and redo buttons. So if you take an action, if I delete something and didn't mean to do that, I can undo it right away if I didn't take any other keystrokes. So do remember that, like the system's remembering the last thing you did. So that undo. Another thing is trash. It's just going to delete it. You can also click on it and just hit delete and it deletes. Another thing, if you want to get a measurement, this ruler doesn't stay, but if you do have something that's actually set to scale, but you're like, how far is this distance? You can do a quick ruler that'll stay there until you hit escape. And then this bring forward, send to back, send front. This is for if you're, let's say you're getting prepared for, let me just move this. And this actually starts to show you kind of how this is a layered floor plan. But right now, this is a green box, probably drawn with paths because it has this little dip on the side. But this send to back, send to front is if you, one, have a layout, then start adding tables on top. If you're like, where did my tables go? They might be behind the layout. Or two, you have all your tables and then you're going to upload your space after, which you can do. So you have all your tables, everything's beautifully spaced out, and then you're ready to upload the background. You can do that. You just need to make sure that you send it to the back. So then all the objects that have been placed come on top of it. And if you're working with multiple layers and putting, boxes next to each other, just be mindful of which one is on top. So like this right here covers that. But if I say send to back, now that comes forward, if that hopefully makes sense there. And again, just play with it. If you're not sure, what does this do? Get in there, draw a shape and click all the buttons, do all the things to kind of see where all those formatting options are and what the drag feels like and what the snap to increments feels like and things like that.
So we have a really quick question. Hold on. So this one's coming from IG because we are also on IG Live right now for this webinar. We had a question about uploading stock images for templates, object templates, and if there's a cheat way, if there's a way to do it quicker than doing them one by one in object templates. Unfortunately, no, because you need to actually go in, create it, set it to scale, all of those things. Each one have to be done individually. There's no way to say mass upload a bunch of images at once because it all has to be done within that CAD screen. So
right.
Wanted to address that really quick while we have that viewer online with us.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. So you are doing one by one, but once you set it, it's always there, and now it's part of your inventory. I'm going to scroll on down to object templates. We are going to spend a little bit more time on a canvas once we get into a project, but I want to keep moving so we can talk about objects. Exactly to this question, that's a great segue. You're adding a category, so this is really just the file name. Here, I've got some examples to show you. Custom tables. Aisle Planner has a very large inventory of rounds, rectangles, and serpentines, but you might need different sizes than what we have. So you can come in here and create your own custom tables, especially for those tables you use a lot. You might take a round and turn it to a square that turns into a 16-foot, two 8-foots butted up together. Create that 16-foot table in your object templates, and you'll never have to customize at the project level every single table. And then coupled with this and using your shortcuts, you can add a bunch of king tables to a huge space, use your shortcuts to multiply those, and you've created a layout for 300 people in just a couple minutes. So let's go into the custom objects. Here I've just created a folder, custom table, chairs, plants for things we want to rep, soft seating. Again, these are literally just screenshots from the catalog, drop it into a remove background platform. And now instead of, a couch with a white box around it, you've got this sofa that's kind of a little bit more rich in its look and feel, not 3D, but you get the gist of kind of how that can elevate the way that your floor plans look. So let's go do this really quick. And I'm just going to jump into this one. For those of you that are Aisle Planner initiated, we've been finally got you your double-sided serpentine tables. And so I wanted to show you this because I know a lot of folks need to do that snake table. So we are suggesting go ahead and do that as an object template. So at the very least, you maybe have a few serpentines together so you aren't having to tinker at the project level with each and every one. This one, you can give it a name. So I'm just going to click here. It's SERP for 14. That's just my shorthand to know that's a SERP table, double-sided for 14 people. Any object you add into a project, you can also continue to edit it at the project level. But these are going to save you a ton of time, especially for venues. If you have pieces that are built in, that are hardscapes or specialty items, bars, whatever it is, furnishings, you can build these out either in the venue layout itself. So it's just a fixed item on your floor plans, or create it as an object if it's things that you can add and take away or clients can rent from you. Another example I just want to show you is how to do these king tables. So you are literally just going over into the existing Aisle Planner inventory, which starts at tables with chairs. So that's what everyone should see if you don't have any objects of your own, you're going to see tables with chairs, and then on down is all of Aisle Planner's inventory. All you need to do, and it doesn't matter which table you bring over, is just drag a table onto the canvas. That's how you get things over here. And then from here, once that table is highlighted, I'm going to move this down a little bit. I can see now the size of that table. So if I wanted 3 8-foots together, I could make that a 24-foot table and then start to take additional action around just the basic seats that I want on that table. And then also you can do the ends. So let's say you had a couple at the end. Not that anyone would seat this way, but you can see that you can get that table ready for you so you don't have to do it at the project level. The key to Aisle Planner and really streamlining for all of our pros, regardless of what you do in your business, is using these templates and thinking kind of all your scenarios that you do over and over again, template it. A few other things to show you. This is just an image from one of our rentals. We just removed the background and uploaded that so we can have a glass table to drop in where we need to. And then the same goes with your palm trees, your foliage, and anything like that. We get a little bit more granular. These are bigger items, but as we go down, we were showing those tablescapes. It really, again, depends on what you do regularly. If you need to do this at the template level, or if it's just something you do once for a client in their project specifically. But you can see here, we've created some dance floors and things like that. But the tablescapes specifically, you'll see here, like we've just uploaded a gold charger plate. Now, if I was doing a tablescape and I just wanted to really show one setting, I could make that huge so it really displayed nicely, or you can get it into more scale appropriate so you can show a whole table. And really just with any of the objects, your utensils, your napkins, your plates. Now you can also take an image of that whole setup and upload that as an object if you aren't switching out the flatware and the napkin and thing like that. But if you really want to get granular, you can get down into this detail. You see clear glass, terracotta plate, silverware set, and things like that. different doors, different linens, which is another pro tip. If you want to show some textured linen on your tables, you can upload this pattern as an object. And then when you are in a project, you can actually apply that onto your tables. It's a little bit tricky, a little bit of a workaround, but it can be done. So before I move on from templates, I was hoping everyone would just get a good idea of what you can template and how you can kind of preset your account to make your project management and working with clients much faster, much more streamlined, and a lot less cumbersome of building at that level because you've done a lot of that work here. Are we ready to move on into a project?
Yes, but we're also at the 5-minute mark.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so I'm going to jump into Jill and Jack's wedding because we just created this. This is a brand new project. We haven't done anything here yet. When everyone comes into their layout and seating, everyone's going to see this same screen. We always suggest just start with the blank canvas. You will come to seating later. You can always do seating first, but let's start with the blank canvas for today's purposes. Here we are. We are at this blank canvas. So are you drawing from scratch? Is this a venue that you've worked at before? Kind of what's the plan here? For those of you new to Aisle Planner, you don't have that venue yet. This is your first time. You're just really new. You might call your venue and say, hey, can you get me the ballroom? I'm going to do a layout. You might go on their website. Their website, a lot of bigger venues have all their specs and downloadable floor plans. But let's just say they sent it to you and you said, okay, great. I'm going to get this started here. I uploaded it using the insert. Now I need to set it to scale. Let me lock it first so I can drag. Set image to scale. I'm going to drag over to here, 78. And that's done. Image is set to scale. So it is not complicated. I know sometimes it's a little overwhelming or it seems to be like super complex. It is not. It is very easy. You just need a distance point A to point B. So now that you have your floor plan on here, let me just keep going. Move a little faster since we're pressed for time. So I'm going to highlight it again. So you've got an outline. Click. And then again, taking these actions, you can your jump to your service areas if you want. I never do the 1 inches because it's just much smoother to drag your tables around. Now, insert. This is where you can actually start to insert other shapes. So maybe I wanted to put a text box here and add some notes. We also see a lot of our pros add a key for their rentals. So you have created an object that is a box that can have text in it. So then if you have rental pieces, you can kind of get that out. So that is labeled on your layout, which is really handy to share with your vendors. So let's just do a quick tour through this one. We've got reception. We can add multiple layouts as well. So do note you can have your backups, all your different events. Every event within Aisle Planner or every project can have as many events as you need to have. So you can have multiple events. This is how you're going to manage your multiples or add a new one. We might go over a little bit. I will keep going. Sarah, tell me when we're at time because I know we're getting there, but I'm just going to kind of keep moving, ask questions as we go, please. But here we're going to go. Very important part with your layouts and your seating is the connection of your guest list. Okay, you're always going to want to make sure that you have synced up a guest list to your layout. When you come over into seating, if you haven't clicked in here yet, you are going to be asked how many tables and of how many people. If you are not using simple seating, you do not need to do this, but let me show you what this does. So I've synced up a guest list. So now I can start to seat. This is how you want to seat your guests. You do not want to type their name into the system like this. You can see Marty is coming up, but if I just type Marty is not this Marty. Okay, so a couple things just with troubleshooting, always seat from your guest list. So you are sure to be pulling over the meal that they're eating, any dietary notes that they've included under their guest record. And then this will also help you and guide you with how many tables. So because I said I needed 10 tables of 8, I've got these under your tables ready to go. Your tables are these tables. So your tables on the layout are the tables that you see under your seating. You can drag and drop tables. You can rename tables. You can add seats to those tables. That will just add seats to these tables here. So as I apply, table 1 is here. You're also going to see the ability to show table names, show seat numbers, show guest names, and show meals. You'll see here you have the ability to change your meal colors. And then as we were talking earlier, let me just put a few more tables on here to show you guys, drag and drop. And I will show you your custom tables as well. You can highlight these. And then as we were talking about the colors from the color palette, will start to take shape based on what designs you have going on in your color palette. Or you can just make those colors custom right from here. So with these guests seated now, just really quickly to kind of wrap up. And Sarah, I know we have questions coming on. I'm not looking right now. So
we're good. We're good.
There. So I'm going to add a new layout. I'll just call it sample. Start with a blank canvas, and here you will see there is no guest list attached. So this is a big red flag for planners out there and venues. Do not let your clients get to seating and advise them to do any seating if you do not have a guest list attached here. They risk free typing names into the seating, all those tables and numbers. If they free type into there, you're not syncing your guest list and meals and getting proper reports. So here we go. So I'm going to pull this venue over. So here is my venues. These are all these templates. So if I just want to pull this one, main level rounds, I can now go ahead and continue to edit this now that I am in the project. And then you can continue to add elements to it from your objects as well. So if I wanted to, let's say, start showing some centerpieces. Now this might be a little bit big. And again, this is going to how you're scaling or creating your objects. It really is how you guys design and create and set those sizes. You have complete and total control of the images that you're putting objects on and the objects that you are putting on those images. So really the sky is the limit. Think of this as kind of a blank canvas that is going to scale and allow you to layer multiple things. It is then also going to sync up with your guest list and the meals that they're eating, the dietary notes that they have. So when you run your reports and do all of your downloads, you're going to have a really comprehensive report with all of your meals, everybody's, high chairs, infants, wheelchairs, things like that, as well as what they're eating. So let me just show you a few more things on this.
All right, guys. So yeah, we're kind of wrapping up here. I just put it in the chat. So if anybody does have any very specific questions that you are that have not been answered, I know we just ran through that so fast.
We went really fast to show some of the outdoor spaces too we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and so this one has the tent overlay on it, set to scale. The venue was able to tell us that. Put it back up, please. Yes. The venue was able to tell us that each one of the cement blocks was 20 feet wide, so we were able to set everything to scale there. So yes. So there are, as Kimberly mentioned before, we have all of our webinars are going to be live on. All of our webinars are going to be live on our Help Center. However, if you do not have access to the Help Center because you are not yet an Aisle Planner Pro, then you can go into our YouTube page. We have a ton of videos on YouTube, deep diving into different tools and how to utilize Aisle Planner there, both created by ourselves as well as created by some of our pros who have gotten very, very, very adept at utilizing the system as well. So Kimberly, thank you so much. I want to be cognizant of time. We are definitely butting up here. But as you can see, Kimberly's kind of showing you some of the really fun things you can do. You can do, if you're doing ceremony, you can do these arch ceremony pathways. You can really do a lot of different options. She just showed you a layout where there was a ton of actual text comments as well. So that's very specific for a certain type of venue that you are working with.
This Hamilton, right? So this was actually, I was talking about, you can create, something like this built out so you can really easily enter your rentals and things like that. And you just pull in that key. And
there's so much you can do with the tool, guys. It really is very comprehensive. It can be as in-depth or as basic as you need it to be for the event that you are working on. As I mentioned, we know it's a lot. We are always here to help with continued education. We want to support you in making sure that you are as successful as possible with IO Planner. So please never hesitate to reach out to your CS team via the chat bot right there in the lower bottom corner. But ask for a call. Say, hey, I need 30 minutes. Like, I don't think I'm using this tool as effective as possible. And we can definitely get on a call and get you set up for success. And with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off. I don't see any other questions coming in. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I know I just kind of stopped you in motion, but
it's a robust tool. We could do 2 hours on this, honestly.
Yeah.
I want to show everything, and I know certain things are important to others, but we're here to help. Resources are there.
We're here. We want to help. We want to make sure that you are utilizing the system to its full capacity. Please reach out. If you are not yet an IO Planner user, you can still reach out through the bot on our main screen. Our AE team can help you get set up for success. Isamar, it will get emailed to you. It will also be in that help center, and it will be on YouTube. But I've already reached out to your AE, and she is going to send you some follow-up as well. So with that, thank you guys so much. Thank everybody who joined us live today. And we look forward to continuing to see how you use the layout tool, getting your questions, and helping you drive success within IO Planner.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, guys.
Next time. Bye-bye.